Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back here to another edition of The Fishing Teacher, and thanks a lot for taking a little time out of your day to watch the video. It's always appreciated. And today we're going to be talking about water clarity and how water clarity affects fish and sort of determines how you should be approaching your day on the water. So if you guys have watched many of my videos on the regular channel, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blockett, you know I talk a lot about water clarity and water temperature, and we'll be as we get into the Fishing Teacher basics here, you're going to hear me talk about that a lot, because water clarity in relationship to water temperature has a huge impact on how the fish behave, what they do, what they bite, what they don't bite. But specifically today, I wanted to give you guys sort of a foundation on water clarity. Now, it's hard to talk about water clarity without talking about water temperature, but that's a different video. Specifically today, I just want to give you guys a foundation about how fish react under different water clarities. So let's start talking about like dirty water on up to clear water, and we'll get in between everything that. First of all, when you got dirty water, now I consider dirty water being anything where you have visibility of less than 12 inches. The bass are going to behave a little bit differently. They're going to be a lot more inactive if the water's cold. They're going to be a little bit more active if the water's warmer. And they're going to be shallower, because the water clarity will directly be a correlation about how deep most of the fish are. So if you have water clarities that are under 12 inches, you can pretty much guarantee that most of the fish are going to be pretty shallow. They're going to be less than 5 feet deep a lot of the time. And the cover, it totally depends on where you're fishing, because you may have a lake or body of water that has grass or rocks or wood, but regardless, they're going to be shallow most of the time. Now, the next gradient up there is that, let's say you've got water visibility of like between 1 foot and 3 feet and something like that. This is a common water visibility that you have on a lot of different lakes and rivers and streams across the country. I'm going to guess that probably if you had to have any type of range where it's most common, it's probably 1 to 3 foot visibility. And if you're on a lake, you may have different water visibilities in the same lakes. For example, some of the major creek and river arms may have dirty water in it, and then you may be down towards the dam area and you may have a little bit cleaner water. But anyway, when you start getting into water visibility of 12 inches to 3 feet, that starts opening up a little bit more options. The fish can start using a little bit deeper water. You can expect fish to be down as deep as, say 15 or 20 foot if the water clarity is pushing 3 feet. And under those conditions, there's just a lot of different options. Now, those options about what depth the fish are going to be on is, again, directly related to water temperature, which we'll talk about later. Now, if you talk about what I consider clean water, that would be water visibility of over 3 feet clarity. And, it can range, because I've seen water clarity as clear as 40-foot clarity, like on Lake Mead, Nevada. So there's a lot of different clarities between 4 feet and up. But what you have is, once you start getting real clear water, that's when you really have the fish using a lot of different water depths in the lake. Because once you get into really clear water, if the water is fairly deep, you have a lot of fish that suspend. Now, fish don't suspend quite as much in the off-colored water. They tend to relate to the bottom and any bank structure. But if you have real clear water, you're going to have some fish that relate to the bottom, and then you're going to have some fish that suspend in the water column. Now, the depth that they suspend in can be related to what covers in the lake. Say, for example, like here in the Ozarks, like on Table Rock Lake, we have a lot of deep timber that's submerged timber. And maybe the timber is growing in 60 to 80 foot of water, but the timber actually comes up to within 20 foot of the surface. So we'll have a lot of fish that are suspended in that 20-foot zone in the real clear water. And they'll just use a lot of different depths in there. Now, a little bit about how the fish behave in clear water or in different water visibilities. How the techniques that are required to catch the fish are, again, in relationship to the water temperature and the sky conditions out there. Sky conditions have a lot to do with how fish behave, especially in clear water. And Hold on one second, guys. I got to get back. I got to let my dog Sage in. She's running outside. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. But anyway, what I was talking about is the water, the visibility. Like I said, there's a direct correlation between the light intensity, the sunlight, and the water temperature as far as the techniques that you're going to fish. We'll cover that at a later point. But the other thing to remember about water clarity is the clearer the water is, the more that bass feed on sight, or the more that fish feed on sight, specifically bass. Now, as you lose your water clarity and the visibility is not as great to the fish, they rely on vibration. You know, there are lateral lines down the side of a bass's line that picks up vibration. So in dirty water, they rely heavily on the vibration from that lateral line. They don't use their sight as much. So that's another important thing to remember, is that in dirtier water, that's why you want to use lures that make more noise, because the bass can pick them up better. They can, you know, hear them better. And in the clear water, you need to use the lures that are a little bit more lifelike. For example, in dirty water, you may use like a real bright colored crankbait that doesn't really look like anything and catch fish on it. But you could never catch fish on that in real clear water. You would have to use a more lifelike lure, something like a swim bait or something that looks like a fish a little bit more. So anyway, guys, that's just a foundation, a little bit about water clarity. We're going to talk about this a lot, and I'll try to bring it in with the, you know, the light intensity conditions, the wind, the water temperature. It all works in correlation together, and we'll try to build a foundation where it's not intimidating started out, because I know it is. If you just are getting into fishing and don't know much about it, a lot of it can be intimidating because you've never seen it or experienced it or been on the water. But we'll try our best to walk you through it. So please feel free to shoot me some questions, comments if you got any, and we'll talk later. See you.